We are not a taco shop. We are a purpose-driven, value-aligned, community-centric taco ecosystem, and tacos are simply our current expression of impact. We are not a plumbing company. We are a human potential platform leveraging water flow as a medium for global transformation at scale. We do not sell boxes. We are a consciousness-expanding, sustainability-forward containment solution, reimagining how the world holds space for its belongings. We are not an accounting firm. We are a storytelling collective for capital, empowering numbers to find their voice and rewrite the narrative of financial justice. We are not a local service business. We are a hyperlocal, soul-aligned impact engine, recalibrating the vibrational frequency of our community, one transaction at a time. Do you think that private equity firms are not responding to your calls, are not interested in your company because they just don't understand how much you're going to change the world, just how much impact your company is going to have? I don't mean to break it to you, but it's probably something else. And it's probably one of the four things we're going to talk about in this video. I'm Arthur Petropoulos, managing partner here at Hillview Partners. We're a middle market investment banking firm helping companies generating $1 million to $20 million a year, pre-tax earnings or EBITDA, to sell their companies and secure capital. So the theme of today's video, some of the hyperbole on the front end of it, of the different types of stories or narratives or songs we've heard along the way, is why does private equity not want to buy your business? Right? You can think of a million reasons why someone wants to do something, but oftentimes kind of the inverse of that. Why would someone not want to do it? Paints a slightly clearer picture, more clear parameters of what would make something not happen. Does the world just not understand how much you're going to revolutionize refrigerator repair or homemade Portuguese sweetbread? Probably not. But there are four things you can emphasize in a business and grow and incorporate into your business that will make private equity want to buy you, or conversely will not make them not want to buy you, right? So let's think of it this way. Why would private equity not want to buy you? Reason number one is you don't have an access or capability standpoint that's interesting to them. Private equity is typically buying lots of different companies and aggregating them. They are aggregating certain industries. Oh, they're buying all of the HVAC companies. They're buying software companies that service industrial companies. They're buying professional specialty consulting firms that serve the pharmaceutical market. Whatever it is, oftentimes they're buying lots of different things, and they're trying to put them together. So if a private equity firm is geographically gathering, right, they bought a company in Florida, and they're looking to buy things all throughout the Carolinas, west to Texas, towards California. If you have a geographical access point, then it'll be interesting. If they provide certain services and you have a capability that could be complementary, then that could be interesting to them. If you provide consulting services for the pharmaceutical world, as an example, is a business we've done a lot of work in, for FDA issue rectification, well, if you also did work for market studies and analysis, that could be complementary. It's a lot of the same customers, right? And that's just one particular field, but you can think of it that way in terms of capabilities. So one reason why private equity may not want to buy you is because you don't have an access or you don't have a capability that's interesting for their existing portfolio companies to kind of bolt onto or integrate into what they're doing. Second reason private equity doesn't want to buy you is even if you have one of these access or capability points, you lack the fundamentals, and typically that takes the shape of the sales and the pre-tax profit to be buyable. People have come to us on so many different occasions. They said, look, I have a company that this private equity firm is aggregating services businesses in this space, and we provide this, we're the only person in this geography. They don't have access to our state. They don't have anyone in our state. It would be perfect. Or we provide this service that they don't provide, but our company makes $100,000 a year in profit. Right? It's not going to be buyable by traditional institutional private equity. Typically speaking, I'd say the $500,000 of pre-tax earnings is kind of the bare minimum for private equity acquisition. There's exceptions, and $1 million of EBITDA really becomes the point at which the market unlocks for most bolt-on acquisitions. And then certainly as things go higher, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million, $7 million, $10 million, 15, it gets even broader. But so even if you have an access or capability that on paper is interesting, remember, it's the same amount of kind of mashing your head against the wall for private equity firms to buy companies. So if they're going to buy companies, they'd rather buy size. And so it needs to be sufficiently large, or what we say is have the right fundamentals in place, the right kind of margins, the right kind of size of a business. Third reason why private equity is likely not returning a call or does not want to buy your company is because you don't have a sales machine. Now, what we mean by a sales machine is a defined process from which sales happen. Remember, whatever can be measured can be improved. If something is not being measured, or there's a randomness to things, randomness in deals are one of the biggest discounted items. If someone said to you, how do you get sales? And the answer is, I don't know. People just call us. That will have a material discount on the company. Now, you do something to sell stuff, right? You tell somebody. Someone must know. I mean, at the very least, there's a sign on the building that says, we make, water flow control units, whatever it might be, but there's something. And even if it is entirely inbound, you measure it. Say, you know what, we get inbound referrals from attorneys and accountants for our professional services, and we tend to get 10 inbound calls a month. And so at least if you measure it, it's something that's defensible. But if someone just shrugs and say, I don't know, manna just falls from the sky and we eat it, you can imagine it does not instill a great amount of confidence. People would like to see a input-output equation. In an ideal world, private equity wants you to say, we send out this many emails, we send out this many LinkedIn messages, we make this many phone calls, we attend these events, we do paid advertising with airplanes with the big flag behind it on the beach, whatever it is, just we do these things, these tend to be the results, and this is kind of the variation of results. If you tell someone that, it feels like there's a machine. It does not feel like randomness. Private equity, for the most part, as they're aggregating businesses, actually gets very good on the execution side of business. They get very, very good at doing the stuff, whether it's making the goods, providing the services. They tend to know that stuff pretty good. They get a good operating core as they kind of start a platform business. However, what they always want more of is sales. And what they always want is more customers, right? They would say all business starts with a sale. They want revenue for the aggregation or for the roll-up strategy that they may be pursuing. And so if they are buying your company, it is likely they are looking for the fundamentals amongst some of the other things we talked about. And a big element of that is going to be, how does sales happen? And you have to have an answer for it. And it doesn't have to be, we're shaking every tree on earth and we're spending $1 million a day on Google AdWords so that we can have the number one ranking when people say, I'd like bread. Right? It doesn't have to be some gigantic spend. It just has to be definable. It just has to be, tell me a good story. Tell me how inputs equal outputs, right? If you walked up to someone in a gym and they were in tremendous shape and you said, how did this happen? They're not going to say like, funny that, I don't know. If you walked up to someone who's wildly successful in business, it's unlikely that the whole thing just happened randomly. Is there good luck along the way? Sure. However, there's usually a machine. Inputs, outputs have that defined. So that's 3 items. And the fourth reason why private equity isn't interested in buying you is you don't have leadership and a growth plan. So it's kind of 2 things combined into one. And so even if you are selling the business and you're looking to exit it as the owner, you must have someone in the company that is kind of can be the steward of the ship. Now, they don't have to do everything that you are doing. If they're going to be owned by a larger organization, maybe you just need kind of a unit or a project manager, but it can't be chaos the moment that you walk out the door, because then the only insurance policy to you selling the business and there not being chaos is going to be you staying. And then people will say, I'm okay if they buy the company for a bunch of money, I'm happy to stay. But private equity still may not want to buy the business, because if you're towards the tail end of your career and they're like, well, this person doesn't have the energy that they once did, or they're not going to have the chutzpah, they're not going to get out there and do the stuff, they may not be interested. It's too much of a key man risk. So it's not necessarily just it's going to purely be, well, if you don't have leadership in place, well, they're just going to ask you to stay longer. They just may not be interested. And we see that in other situations that have not been successful, that ultimately come our way. We've seen that be one of the reasons why, which we try to quickly rectify. So that's on the leadership side. And on the growth story side, again, you don't have to know every single way you could grow the business. And even if you did know every single way, you don't have to be ashamed that you didn't pursue all of them. You had one season of business, one lifetime, if you will, to grow the business, and you grew it the way you knew how to grow it, but that doesn't mean there couldn't be other situations. So if you really say, look, we've got a good running company, I'm going to phase myself out, but we've got 3 people that are kind of the next layer of management, that the collective of them could do the stuff I do and are already doing some of it. And if I were to be 20 years younger and taking another tour of duty here, these are the 10 things I would do. That ticks the box. But if you don't have that, that can oftentimes be a reason why private equity is not interested. So to wrap up this video, and even in my own thing, right, is private equity not buying you because they just haven't watched enough of your YouTube videos? Probably not. Because they haven't read your vlog and poetry from college that just says how you would change the world if someone gave you $50 million? Probably not. It's really about the key things. It's the fundamental things. It's not, again, to steal a phrase, it's not a secret list that no one knows about. It's an obvious list that nobody does. And so it's these 4 things. And we like to say in business, many people do these things. We just say that for theatrical impact. But really, there's 4 reasons why private equity won't buy you. And if you fix these things, private equity will be much more amenable to returning your call, to having the conversations, to interacting with the bankers representing you in a way that is productive and ultimately gets the outcome that you want. These are going to be 1, having access or capability that could be interesting. 2, having the fundamentals that people want, being sizable enough with the right types of margin profile. 3, having a sales process that you can define. Does not need to be perfect, does not need to be all-consuming, but does need to be something that you can say in words. And 4, having a leadership/growth plan in place that you can at least speak to as well, so that people see the transition and see the opportunity set ahead. Do these 4 things, and you don't have to have a thesis about why you want to change the world. If you had these 4 things for a company and you walked into a boardroom and they said, why do you want to do this? And you said, I want to buy 50 Nickelodeon slime green Lamborghinis and crash them all into each other, they wouldn't care, and they'd happily give you the money if this business could help their aggregation strategy that they're doing. So that's the thought for today. Not to rain on anyone's parade, but I hope within some of this hyperbole, it at least highlights some of the realities of the world and certainly of the mergers and acquisitions process. Hope the week continues to go well for everyone. Keep pushing forward. God bless. And we'll see everyone next time.